Welcome to the Small Business Coffee Break, the video series where we take a few minutes to work on your business, not just in it. Today we're talking with Sara Hernandez, Senior Vice President of First Citizens Bank Coral Gables, about, is a checking account the only account my business needs? Sara has over 15 years of experience helping small businesses with their banking and financing needs. Unfortunately, we did have some slight audio issues while recording with Sara, but we thought the information she provided was so valuable, we're bringing it to you anyway. So grab a cup of coffee and let's get into it. So Sara, I'm opening a business and I want to know, all I really need is a checking account, right?
There's so much that goes involved in opening a business, right? So one, how are you going to receive money? What type of business is it? Do you need merchant services? Do you need to be able to capture the income in a credit card? So that's one thing. You're probably going to need a line of credit for the business to start off. I'll explain how to use the line of credit because I know that's something that most people trip on, is the whole line of credit thing. You should have a savings account, because you don't want to have, as you start making more money, you don't want everything in your operating account. You want to be able to, because the operating accounts have a lot of movement, a lot of activity in and out. People have that account number, but then your savings account, most people, no, you don't need to give out that number to anybody. And so you kind of put your real money in the savings account. And then you use the operating account for the day-to-day kind of stuff. So there's a lot. There's also fraud protection that the banks offer, where you can, if there's something that goes through your account that isn't right, the bank immediately knows it and calls you on it and doesn't pay on it, because you've given them information as to, these are the checks that I wrote, these are the EFTs, this is what ACH is, all of that kind of stuff. So there's a lot more than just the checking account.
Well, it's funny because I would think, all I need is a check, money in versus money out. But you touched on a topic that's near and dear to my heart, which is fraud protection, because risk mitigation is kind of how I think. And in today's world, having two separate accounts where one holds the funds and people have less access or no access to, versus the operating account, which is it sounds fancy when we say operating account, but it's basically the regular checking account. The business, they take out the EFT for the services, or you pay the different contractors, you pay your employees out of an operating account. But if you have large sums that you want to have more protection behind, these are places that you can, having a separate account with less access, we know this unfortunately from experience, ends up being a good safety net for a good and relatively inexpensive safety net for the business to be able to protect against, in a world where, cybercrime, wire transfer fraud, social engineering, which is just basically a fancy way of saying being conned into sending somebody money, has become such a hot topic. I agree. I understand where it was like, it's not just a checking account. There has to be a whole thought process to, how you're going to do that. How you're going to take payments. Are you going to be using, merchant services, or a company who basically does the fronting and processing of credit card transactions, or ACH transactions? What does that mean? And how does, what are the effects? What's it going to cost me? What happens if there's a chargeback? There's so many things that go into it that unless you really have been in it for a while, it's hard to really see it. I think that I think planning is going to be one of the underlying themes of all of the conversations you and I have, because this goes back to that, which is like, yes, you need a checking account, but what else have you planned to help mitigate certain things in your business, or to help create processes that work well for your customers and your employees to be able to receive the funds or give you the funds that they need. So yeah, absolutely. We definitely more than a checking account.
Yeah.
Let's keep the conversation going. If you have any questions for Sara, please ask them in the comments, or I put her contact information in the description. If you have any questions you'd like me to ask Sara or any other professional in their field, my contact information is also in the description, and I'm always open to a DM. See you next week for another cup of coffee and more questions answered.